Now, I know what type of teacher I am, and I know that you are one of the most fertile mind in the country because we choose the best. Therefore, do not underestimate yourself and do not overestimate who has written commentary on Emile Durkheim, Max Weber, or Karl Marx. In our opinion, in our collective judgment, because we have selected you, you are the best in the country at the moment, and I will say in the global village. And in case you read the originals, your term paper will not be less than Talcott Parsons, Raymond Aron, one of the best commentators, or the pamphlet writer called Anthony Giddens. You know, unlike others, I am not against plagiarism. But it doesn't mean that I encourage plagiarism. What I encourage is that you should give your best in your own language. Why? Because when you are copying from the book, you are insulting your natural talent. You are, abusing your gene pool. In Hindi, ये तुम्हारी नैसर्गिक प्रतिभा, इनबॉर्न टैलेंट और तुम्हारे जीन पूल which is a dialectical mixture of nature and culture or nature or nurture, तुम अपने नेचर एंड नर्चर की तौहीन करते हो. You insult your nature and nurture and you underestimate and you suppress your natural talent. You should not do in my paper. Why? Not because this is illegal. It may be illegal for others. But in case you do not respect yourself, in case you do not understand yourself, in case you are sure that you are not fit enough to read sociology, only then you will copy or paste. Otherwise, in my opinion, in academic discourse, creative borrowing is not only essential, but it is also desirable. Are you getting the point? Nobody will say anything. Therefore, I have only one request to all of you. Please write academic diary every day. You write at least 3-4 sentences every day. And that 3-4 sentences every day will make you original in the eyes of your teachers, including me. Is it clear to you? Secondly, do not worry about course material. It is there online. We have given you the link. But in case you follow my lectures, you can just build on the foundation I supply to you during lectures. Do not worry at all. In case you worry, in case you suffer from anticipatory fear, as I always say, the students never fail, teachers fail, and it will be an insult to my teaching. In case you are not happy, in case you are suffering from anxiety, in case you are suffering from some sort of, fear of exam or whatever, then you are insulting your own given talent, your cultural legacy, but you are also insulting me, an old teacher. I deserve your respect, and you can respect me by writing diary every day. It may be 3 sentences, it may be 4 sentences, it may be more, but not less than 3 sentences. Now, I will continue with my last lecture. In my last lecture, which was the 4th lecture, I was talking to you about Marxist concept of man, that is homo faber. I gave you 2 quotations or 2 paragraphs. Do not worry about explanation. In my 3rd class this week, I will explain Karl Marx again. Today, I will try to cover very quickly Weberian concept of man. And you may make a note, I will speak slowly. Unlike Karl Marx and Max Weber, there is no direct answer about the nature of man or the concept of society in Max Weber. I'm sorry, unlike Karl Marx and Emile Durkheim, unlike Karl Marx and Emile Durkheim, there is no direct answer about the nature of man or the concept of society in Max Weber. In other words, in Weberian sociology, the question of epistemology, that is, theory of knowledge, is more important or primary than the question of epistemology. I'm sorry again. In the question of epistemology, in other words, in Weberian sociology, the question of epistemology is more important or primary than the question of ontology. Ontology is theory of reality. In other words, for Max Weber, theory of ontology or ultimate reality or reality as it is in itself, I will repeat, for Max Weber, theory of ontology or theory of ultimate reality or theory of reality as it is in itself, or noumena, noumena, inverted comma, or noumena is at best a secondary question. As a result, he evades this question to the best of his ability. Of course, by following post-structural methodology of reading his text, inverted comma, you can deconstruct it by yourself. On the question of yeah, as a result, Max Weber evades the question of ontology to the best of his academic ability, full stop. Of course, by following post-structural methodology of Derrida, Foucault, Lacan, Barthes, etc., by following post-structural methodology of reading his text is the final theory of Max Weber about man and society. Primarily, his book, Economy and Society, translated by Roth, R-U-T-H, not Ruth but Roth in German, and also by reading some of the articles included in a book called From Max Weber, edited by, C. Wright Mills and Hamilton, or Hamilton and C. Wright Mills. You can deconstruct it by yourself. On the question of epistemology or theory of knowledge about man, market, state, and society, he writes explicitly and directly. I will repeat. On the question of epistemology or theory of knowledge about man, market, state, and society, Max Weber writes explicitly and directly. It is epistemology, it is primary for Max Weber. Max Weber is a neo-Kantian epistemologist and sociologist. Max Weber, I am repeating, is a neo-Kantian epistemologist and sociologist, full stop, whereas Karl Marx follows Hegelian epistemology and a secular version of Jewish ontology, in contrast to both Emile Durkheim, in contrast to both Max Weber and Karl Marx. Emile Durkheim followed the epistemology of natural sciences, primarily of Isaac Newton and Auguste Comte, or Auguste Comte as the French say, and physical sciences, Charles Darwin et al. Et al. Is Charles Darwin and others, including his friends and critics. But I am talking about Durkheim. He followed pragmatic ontology of Charles Sanders Peirce, or C.S. Peirce, spelling P-E-I-R-C-E, and the theological version of Jewish ontology. Have you written? All of you? The whole. Okay, I will repeat. Max Weber is a neo-Kantian epistemologist and sociologist, whereas Karl Marx follows Hegelian epistemology and a secular version of Jewish ontology. In contrast to both Max Weber and Karl Marx, Emile Durkheim followed the epistemology of natural sciences and physical sciences, but he followed pragmatic ontology of Charles Sanders Peirce and the theological version of Jewish ontology. Is it clear now? And what I taught you in the last class on Wednesday and today. Now let us take the Marxist concept of man. And first I will read out, then explain. For Marx, the ultimate possibility of human self-emancipation is related with his philosophical premise about the initial creation of the world by man. The ultimate possibility of human self-emancipation is related with Marxist philosophical premise about the initial creation of the world by man. Second point, it is a secular version of the Hegelian notion that actuality in bracket reality is not an external objective datum singular of the plural data, but is shaped by human consciousness. Now let me explain what Marx is trying to emphasize at. There is no need to repeat. I am reading my academic diary which I prepare every day to teach you. Now, where to read Marxist concept of man and society? There are two books. One is Economic and Philosophical Manuscript. Economic and Philosophical Manuscripts of 1844. And second book was a political pamphlet or manifesto he jointly wrote with Frederick Engels, that is the Communist Manifesto. Therefore, my academic diary is based on 3 books. 2 books by Karl Marx, one fully written by him, Economic and Philosophical Manuscripts of 1844, and second, the Communist Manifesto, jointly written by Marx and Engels. And third book is written by G for geography, Leff, L-E-F-F. He wrote the book The Tyranny of Concepts in 1961. On the basis of these 3 books, I have written my academic diary, which also draws from the chapter Homo Faber by Shlomo Avineri. The name of the book I have already shared with you, The Social and Political Thought of Karl Marx, 1968, by Shlomo Avineri. Therefore, this one paragraph is my academic diary about Marxist concept of man and society on the basis of my reading of the 4 books I have shared with you. Now, I am a religious person, therefore I will say, legally speaking, it will come within my subjective reading of the texts. What does it mean? It is not necessary that any other student of sociology, including you, will read the 4 texts with similar conclusion. What does it mean? I am reading these 4 books as if this is social action of a sociology student to read a book. In other words, I am reading Karl Marx and his writings and writings about his writing by following Max Weber's epistemology. And what is Weberian epistemology? This is the same ontology which was followed by Immanuel Kant. Who was Immanuel Kant? Or who is Immanuel Kant? Because physically he may be dead, he is present in your course outline on Karl Marx and Max Weber and also Durkheim. Now, modern Europe from 15th century to 21st century is still divided into two groups: those who follow an epistemology promoted by René Descartes. René Descartes is pronunciation, but it is written as Descartes. Therefore, do not worry about pronunciation and grammar. I am not, a teacher or a student of the language called English or Hindi or German or Italian. I am a student of sociology and I teach in sociology. Whether I speak in English or Hindi or any other language which I am capable of speaking. Therefore, do not worry about your language also. You can write your academic diary in any language you are comfortable in. And then I will teach you by the end of February, that is the time when you are supposed to write mid-semester exam in other courses, how to academically transform your personal academic diaries as profound sociological statements by following Claude Lévi-Strauss's method of structuralism. Got it? Now, according to my reading, Marx is engaging with both the question of ontology and the question of epistemology. In the first paragraph, that is in the first sentence, long sentence, Karl Marx is dealing with the concept of man, that is the concept of epistemology. According to Marxist epistemology, man is homo faber, HOMOFABER, homo faber. Whereas for many others, man is homo sapiens, HOMO sapiens, 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 Homo sapiens. What is Homo sapiens? Man is a thinking animal. For people like Hegel, Kant, Spinoza, Leibniz, René Descartes, etc., or Bergson, man was primarily Homo sapiens. Although Bergson says man is not a thinking animal, rather man is a feeling animal. But then the question is, what is the organ in the human anatomy which feels? Therefore, I will club together Bergson with René Descartes and his followers like Immanuel Kant and Hegel, that man is a thinking animal. Man is a thinking animal or Homo sapien. Now Marx doesn't agree with this view. Marx says man is not Homo sapiens, rather man is Homo faber. Man is not thinking animal, rather man is a tool making animal. Now, why Marx is saying so? It is clear in the writing of Marx himself. In direct quotation, Marx says, the ultimate possibility of human self-emancipation is European terminology. For Indians, human self-emancipation is known as moksha, nirvana. Moksha is a Hindu term, nirvana is a Buddhist term, kaivalya is a Jain term. Languages are also different. Moksha is Sanskrit, nirvana is Pali, and nirvana is Pali, and kaivalya is Prakrit. These are three languages of the same family, linguistic family, as almost all major European languages are part of Aryan family of languages. I would like to stress it again and again. The concept of Aryans or Dravidians is not a racial concept. It is a linguistic concept. Therefore, when we are speaking of Aryan, we are speaking about a linguistic family studied by philologists. Philologists, Philo, philologists. They are scientists who study language. Philology. Philo means language, logic means science. Like sociology, that is science of society. Now, when you use the term Caucasian, then you are referring to the same Europeans as a race. Therefore, Latin, Greek, even German, which is the mother of the English language. It is very interesting that the English language is the daughter or son of the German language. But the English speaking people and German speaking people are the worst of enemies. But when we use the term Caucasian, Mongoloid, we are referring to the term race. Black is also a race. Black is not a language. Therefore, Karl Marx is trying to say that the ultimate goal of man is human self-emancipation or moksha or kaivalya or nirvana. This is very different from the view of Max Weber, for whom man is neither Homo sapiens nor Homo faber, nor Homo duplex. Now, Homo sapiens is a view which is primarily popular among the philosophers or scientists before Karl Marx started writing. In other words, the most original contribution as an academician of Karl Marx does not lie in the concept of surplus value or the idea of communism. These concepts were different types of commentary or interpretation of Karl Marx of pre-existing concepts. But the term Homo faber, the concept of man as Homo faber or tool-making animal, is very original or unique contribution of Karl Marx, which must be understood as Marx wrote it in the Economic and Philosophical Manuscript of 1844. The second, more popular concept of alienation or estrangement from one's own self is hopelessly dependent, conceptually speaking, on the concept of Homo faber. In other words, unless and until you understand the Marxist concept of man as Homo faber, there is no possibility, I am talking about academic possibility, of understanding the Marxist concept of alienation as a very original contribution of Karl Marx in the understanding of the division of labor in society. Now, what is the ontology of man in society? Karl Marx is saying that man is a tool-making animal. And what he meant by tool-making animal? I am reading the original sentence written by Karl Marx in German, but faithfully translated by many people in the same way, that the ultimate possibility of human self-emancipation is related with his philosophical premise about the initial creation of the world by man There are two important concepts here. First, human being as a tool-making animal seeking self-emancipation or ultimate freedom or moksha, salvation, kaivalya or nirman. Now this concept of man of Karl Marx does not match with his critics' conceptualization of Karl Marx as a materialist philosopher. In other words, my reading of Karl Marx is that he was following a materialist epistemology, but he was not following materialist ontology. Marxist concept of knowledge, Marxist theory of knowledge may be called materialist, but it is a crime, it is a sin, academic crime and academic sin to call him a materialist philosopher. Marx is not trying to say that bread is everything. Marx is not trying to say that profit is the only motive of man. Marx is not trying to say, like Thomas Hobbes in Leviathan, that man is selfish, naughty and brutish. Rather, Marx is making a critique of this view of Thomas Hobbes, which is partly also shared by Adam Smith and later on by Max Weber. Marx is trying to say that on the basis of anatomy, physical structure is called anatomy. On the basis of physiology, that is functions of the human organism. These are things which you can read in a book, Dialectics of Nature by Friedrich Engels. Marx is not trying to say that man is a selfish, naughty or brutish creature or animal. Rather, man is, according to Karl Marx, the ultimate possibility of human being or man is self-emancipation. But this self-emancipation, according to Karl Marx, is not possible in a capitalist society or feudal society. Marx said, man was a tool-making animal in the beginning. What is the beginning? The first stage of human evolution. The tribal society, the earliest tribal society mentioned in the Old Testament and Talmud, these are Jewish book of history. The way Ramayana and Mahabharata are Hindu concept of history. Puranas are Hindu concept of history. In the same way, according to the Jewish stories of history mentioned in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, the earliest tribal community mentioned in the Hebrew Bible is a primitive communist state. Therefore, according to Karl Marx, man, in the beginning lived without the private motive, without the selfish motive, because his basic needs were fulfilled by the tribal society. Marx says in the Communist Manifesto that in the last stage of socialism, there will be neither private property, nor marriage, nor family, nor state, nor even the political party. I am talking about Communist Manifesto, primarily written in Hebrew and German,